What's going on, guys? This is your boy Anvilad here, and I'm back with Sarah for the next Sticky Note Take edition of the Sticky Note Take. And I have a special edition going on with Sarah, one of Sarah's favorite mons. What's going on, Sarah?
Oh, man, I am just delighted to discuss this this Pokemon in excruciating, explicit detail.
Oh,
Of
yes.
course, today we'll be discussing Cobalion, the goat,
Indeed. Yeah.
the like literal goat. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's like a mountain goat or some shit. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I edit the shit out. Damn it. I keep cursing. Anyway, whatever. We're not monetized. Whatever. Anyway, so I already kind of like started off on a funny foot. But what is Cobalion? And I think it's a mountain goat. Would you agree, Anvil? Like
Yeah,
a mountain
yeah.
goat kind of thing.
Yeah, I think
Those horns
if you go
don't
in the
don't see to me.
Bulbapedia entry until under the species biology, I think it is indeed a mountain goat.
Yeah, emphasis on goats.
Yes, yes.
So, so I'm gonna have. Well, right now we're just recording your voices, but I'm gonna put like some pictures and stuff. And you may notice for tier, it's actually UU, which you would think we're calling it the goat
It's uber
as well as a
used.
goat.
It's uber used.
Yeah,
That's what.
overused. Yeah, but UU is just letters. Don't mean nothing.
Mhm.
We're gonna discuss why Cobalion is better than you may first expect. So, let's see. So, Annabelle, why don't you tell us about its defensive impact, and then I'll just riff off what you say.
Oh, yes, yes. So Cobalion has a very good defensive typing, especially in this tier in particular. So if you guys, we're gonna put the stats up. So if you look at its defenses, it has pretty solid 91, 129, 72 defenses, and it also has a very solid speed tier in 108. So you're gonna outspeed up to basically everything. Yeah, you're gonna be the same speed as Keldeo, so that's what 346. So you're outspeeding a lot of interesting threats. I think the biggest speed benchmark I can think of is Thundurus, Therian, Garchomp, Volk, Hydreigon, and Mega Pinsir. But yeah, you outspeed all those threats. But yeah, I mean the main thing here is the defensive utility that it has. So Cobalion, because of its steel fighting typing, it's one of the few defensive fighting types in the tier, which is really solid to deal with the scary dark types of the tier. So when I think of scary dark types, I'm usually thinking of mons like Bisharp, Weavile, that can put in so much work versus a lot of teams. So Bisharp, as you guys know, is very hard to switch into that dark steel typing, and it has priority sucker punch and that stuff. So Coba is a really solid switch into that. It can always threaten the Bisharp out with CC, and if Bisharp chooses to go for a dark type move like knock off, it is punished by activating Justified on Coba, so that gives it a free attack boost, which is really nice. Similarly, Weavile. This is one of the few mons that can wall Choice Banded Weavile, assuming they don't run like low kick or anything. But the standard Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, Knock set is walled by Coba. So it has a resistance to ice with steel, it has a resistance to dark with fighting. So it's another solid one for that. Um, the reason why I think people don't use it as much is because it doesn't have that much offensive presence. It's mostly very good at defense, as well as the plethora of different utility moves that it has access to. So, although it might not be an Excadrill, it can still put in work. It has a good high base power moves like close combat, which is really nice. But I think the main thing you'll see with Koba is the defensive sets and the utility sets with the stealth rock and stuff. So we'll go more into detail with about specific moves and stuff to run on it. But basically, the one thing you're gonna walk away with is Koba has very good defensive typing. It's very unique in the tier for being able to switch into some of the more scarier threats in the tier.
Oh, I like that you mentioned Excadrill as an example. So, besides the steel typing they share, there's also something else that Cobalion shares with Excadrill that the non-mining mons can boast. So, with that steel fighting typing, that means you have a double resist to rock, which means when you come in, you only take about 3% from stealth rocks. Meaning that every time you come in, you're on rocks, you're basically gaining HP by the end of the turn. Which, like, Excadrill can say that, Lucario can say that. But compare those ones, you know, this is the only one that's like actually like physically defensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like naturally like physically defensive, like good, you know. And we're gonna talk about some other things that does. So I guess we'll just get transition to that. So Cobalion has stealth rocks, so you know that's really good. You know, it's got a great speed here, so it can, you know, outspeed a lot of other mons that might go for rocks, or possibly taunt it, like say Heatran or whatever. The other thing it's got, which is very rare, is Volt Switch. It's like one of the few non-electric types that has Volt Switch. I think Mew has Volt Switch. That's not electric, and there's probably something else I'm forgetting. But there really aren't that many mons that have Volt Switch in their move pool that are not electric types. But Cobalion is one of them. So it has a pivoting move with Stealth Rock. And if that weren't enough, it also has Taunt, T-Wave, it gets Swords Dance, and it gets Calm Mind. So we were talking about close combat before, and its attack is, you know, mediocre, you know, a 90. But with the, you know, the high base power close combat, you know, it kind of offsets that a little bit. It's kind of like Talonflame. Talonflame has pretty low base attack. What was it, like 80, 83, 82?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember. 81. It's under 85. That's all I know. Cobalion also has like you know, pretty middling offenses, but it can actually run special or physical, because it does get Calm Mind as well. So, oh, it also gets a workup.
Oh yes.
I've been wanting to like have like a workup mon to use. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by that move, but I like the idea of like mixed attackers.
Mm-hmm.
So it could potentially do that. I don't think we ever seriously tried doing that with it, but that might be better. That might be actually better for you, but whatever. I'm just saying it has options. It gets Yellow Magic, the other best move in the tier. So it gets the two best moves. It gets Stealth Rock, it gets T-Wave. It doesn't get U-Turn, but it does get Volt Switch, which is almost as good as U-Turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned Taunt, right? Taunt's really good.
Yep, Taunt, Stealth Rock.
Yeah, it gets like all the setup moves we mentioned.
Toxic.
Besides the ones that yeah, Toxic. Hidden Power Ground.
Oh yes, spicy stuff.
No, oh yeah. But yeah, oh, and the Justified, it's actually really nice because, like you mentioned, you can take a Dark Attack very easily. You know, you prefer not to lose your lefties because, like I said, you come in on rocks and end up with more HP, which is really great for this mod because, you know, it doesn't have a recovery move. But just coming in over and over on rocks and like scaring out the opponent, which this can still do, either with a, you know, Volt Switch or close combat. You know, the stuff it walls, it just kind of walls, you know, or breaker. So even though you would hate to lose lefties from like knockoff, you'd still do appreciate the attack boost that Justified would give you from, you know, receiving that Dark Attack. So I think with after Justify boost, you can basically 2 KO Clef with Iron Head. So that's something.
Yeah, true.
And Iron Head is also pretty flinchy. So you know,
Oh yeah, if you're running the yellow
if
magic.
RNGesus is with you, there you go. What was that?
Yeah, I was saying if you run the yellow magic along with Iron Head, then yeah, there's some potential for taxing. Right
Oh
there.
yeah. I love Yellow Magic and Iron Head together. It's kind of like a less. Well, it's like Jirachi, but without Spring Grace.
True.
I still have these nods
Yep.
if you need to. If you need to.
Yes, it is true.
So Hex potential is definitely there. So what's its niche? Would you say again?
I'd say its niche would be, if I were to use Cobalion, I would use Cobalion as a solid stealth rocker that can deal with most of the other the main stealth rockers in the tier, as well as the stealth rocker that can deal with other hazard shedders like Ferrothorn and Skarm due to taunt. I think it's a good lead rocker too. Um, and I think even in the lead matchup versus HO, if the other Bond is faster than you and tries to get a taunt off, you can always just volt switch out and get momentum. So I definitely think it has a really good role as like a lead rocker or something like that. Because it has a good speed tier, so it can get up rocks versus most other things. And we can go into this later about the meta game and why Coba could be really good as a rocker right now. But it also has to do with that last episode about the Salvatore. Basically, with everyone and their mother using Clef or Excadrill as their stealth rocker, Coba could be really nice because Coba can threaten out the drill. It can also threaten out the Clefs, and it can just get up rocks of its own. And then it can just get momentum versus most of the other hazard removers. So, for example, if the opponent, usually the opponent has a drill as their rocker and their spinner, so Coba already threatens them that way. Even if they have like a Skarmory or Starmie, you can always just volt switch out on them into your pursuit trapper or something if you're running that. Similarly, you can volt switch out on their defogger and try to pursue them that way. So there's like a bunch of different options. It really is volt switch being very clutch. Like having volt switch on Cobalion is so solid. You can use it to do a lot of things. But in general, I think rocks. It's just a good rocker. But if you have any other things, I know it's Coba. Sarah loves Coba, guys. So Sarah knows what it means.
No, I mean, you use it with me. Yeah, I definitely say its niche is a physically defensive, pivoting stealth rocker that can defeat Excadrill pretty easily. You know, that outspeeds it. It can OHKO it with close combat, unless it's like a super defensive set. And if it is really a super defensive set, then it probably can OHKO it back. So that's a nice thing, too. So if they're running, you know, a super offensive, you only need like a little bit of investment in attack to ensure you always OHKO it. And if they're running more defensive, then they won't OHKO you anyway. And then you can probably just beat them. But yeah, I say that's its niche. So it's kind of like the way I see it, it reminds me a lot of Tornadoes in that it's got like a decent amount of utility options, but without having to worry about rocks. Now it is more spike sweep, but at the same time, spikes are much more uncommon compared to stealth rocks.
True.
So it doesn't need this thing really doesn't need much hazard support. You know, being a steel fighting type, which is nice.
I also do want to mention, unlike Excadrill, Coba can deal with most of the common spikers in the tier like Skarm and Pharaoh. You can just CC the Pharaoh, and you can just volt switch on the Skarm into a trapper or something like that.
Oh yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, the volt switch is really like I think something that makes the sets work really well. Um, it's something I thought about but haven't done, but I'm sure would be interesting. Would be running HP Ice
Oh,
as like a as a way to punish ground types that come in. Because it's a nice special attack that's usable still. You can make it minus the def nature, but that naive or not naive, is that naive or naive is the minus defense. One of those natures where you plus speed minus special defense. You do that nature, and I'm sure HP Ice will 2 KO a couple of the ground types. Like I'm pretty sure it would 2 KO defensively though. Don't call me on that yet. Might need some chip, but it could punish ground types coming in because really that's like the only thing Coba doesn't love with the volt switch in the close comments and stuff. But like I said, it's something you can patch out pretty easily. Even if you're not running HP Ice, like just have something that can take a ground move. So like stick like a flying type next to this, like a Zapdos, and you're good. Oh, you have another Volt Switcher. Put him in the vortex.
True, true. You can run HPS on that too if you want.
Oh yeah, that should be better at running HPS, but I'll think more like a surprise factor. Like it wouldn't be that bad. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we got defensive, pivoting, rocker with taunt, T-wave, and possibly set up as options. Guess we'll talk about synergy. So what are some good partners for Cobalion? The first one that comes to my mind is things that don't like dark types. Like so if you're running, for instance, like a psychic mon as like maybe one of your prime offensive threats, whether it be a wall breaker or sweeper, I think sticking a Cobalion is almost like a no-brainer. So like if running like a Mega Alakazam team or a Mega Latias or maybe a Mega Slowbro to a lesser extent. I think it will fit really well with those guys, especially the first two because you have the Volt Switch momentum. Oh, like this and Alakazam, that could be really good.
True, true. Yeah.
And yeah, like the dark attacks really do nothing to this for like Weavile and Bisharp.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I think from an offensive standpoint, if you want to use Cobalion as like a good pivot with the volt switch and stuff, then I think the biggest things probably standing in your way are bulky grounds like Lando, Gliscor, and Garchomp. So if you wanna annoy them, you could run Zapdos, like I said, with the HPIs, or you could just run HPIs raw on the Coba. But if you really want to, I think you could get away with running like a offensive ice type or an
Maybe
offensive.
a Weavile, perhaps.
Yes. I think Weavile and Coba work really well together because
Oh yeah, you can Volt Switch into the Weavile. It's like you said before, like Volt Switching into your Trapper.
Yeah,
And just breaking through those ground types.
Yep, and then Weavile's few switch-ins are what Clef, and if Coba can
Sometimes
just
Clef.
yeah, sometimes Clef. See, if the Coba can just stay in on the Clef, get a T-wave off, and then Weavile can just flinch it down, that's still pretty solid for the Weavile to break. And oftentimes on people's teams, their Clef is the only Weavile switching anyways. So if you're able to get a T-wave off on that with Coba, that's huge. Also, if you run like Iron Head Taunt or something, then the Clef won't be able to heal up, and then it could just get just 2 KO'd by the Weavile if there's enough chip anyway. So there's a lot of utility in that. Sometimes Clef users are, they underestimate Koba and they just stay in. So you could just take advantage of that and get some chip down. And then something I mentioned before was the volt switching. So because Koba is your rocker, your opponents will be pressured to spin or defog. So you can just volt switch on their hazard remover, trap it with Weavile, and then get rid of it that way. Um, what else? You mentioned Soroba and stuff, but that's pretty good. You could run. Maybe you could run Volturn with Scarf Landers or something.
Yeah, that
Uh,
could be good too.
because Koba fears ground types, so you could just switch into Lando on that, get an Intimidate off. Lando has additional utility with knock and stuff, which could pair really nice with Koba. Similarly, uh, Koba can switch into Ice type moves for Landers, which is really solid. Um, I'm trying to think what else. Let's see. I think I covered it defensively. You mentioned psychic types like Zam, maybe guard to Latias. Um uh I think I remember this
Hmm.
was like a really old team, but I think I remember using what's it called? Latios, but Latios isn't like is
Latios with
yeah.
Cobalion.
Yeah, it was some I don't know. It was basically like I think the purpose of that team was to get T waves off, maybe on Tornadus or something, and then Latios could outspeed and deal with them. And then you could also double on the dark types or fairy types or steel types that try to come in on Latios and then go into Coba on that and get momentum that way. Um, but yeah, there's like a lot of unique partners that you can use for Coba. I'm trying to think what else. Um,
While you're thinking, I just want to say, Cobalion reminds me of another one of my favorite uh, underused icons. Like I think of Napoleon, for instance, because they both have. I mean, steel fighting is not quite as unique as steel water, but it's still an interesting typing, and I would say Cobalion has like a very maybe even more interesting move pool. Being a physically defensive, fast pivot. It's very hard to find another mod that does what Cobalion does. Like that speed tier is really good. Like I said, the stuff that can like rapid spin on it, it's like extra drill. You can CC that
mhm.
and kill them. Starmie, they come in, you just volt switch out, and then pursue trap them with a Weavile, for instance.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it just makes a lot of sense, and it just fits I think really well with with the meta right now.
Yeah, that's true. I think I think Koba is really solid as like an anti-lead for most of the HO teams that aren't including like Azelf and stuff. I mean, I can still deal with Azelf and Arrow in some ways, but I'm talking about like the lead Landers HO teams, the lead Excadrill HO teams that try to get up rocks ASAP. So having Cobalion as a fast taunter or fast rocker is really solid to deal with those, which is very nice. Even so, what I mean versus faster leads like Azelf and Arrow is those leads also run taunt. So even though they might be able to taunt you, you could always just volt switch out. Um, with
And go
Cobalion
Weavile.
and your best. Yeah, you just go Viva. And then they're on the back foot because they wasted a turn taunting you and you just got
Mhm.
momentum. Which is very
Oh,
nice.
that's our Sell Now partner, Crawdon.
Oh,
That's really
yes, that
good.
is perfect actually. Yeah.
Yeah, another has priority, hits hard as hell. Doesn't pursue trap, but it's it could be a safe way to bring Crawdon in because as we all know, the main thing with Crawdon, why it's I mean Crawdon's great, but I think the one thing that makes it a little hard to use sometimes is that it is relatively frail. It's not the bulkiest boy.
True, true.
So having like a safe, we'll switch into it could be really nice.
Now that you mention it, that is actually a very solid pairing. Because if you're using T-Wave with Coba, you can
Oh yeah,
T5 kind of
yeah.
everything except electrics and grounds, right? Um, and
But
then
you
the
don't care about
ground
grounds with a Crawdon, right?
Crawdon, exactly. Yeah, you can just double into crawl on the grounds and grab a kill anyways. Yeah. So that that's one really nice thing about Koba. So maybe we could see a Koba Landers T Crawdon core or something like that. It could be really nice. But I don't know, maybe we'll build a team around that. But something I also wanted to mention was maybe Koba might have trouble with the bulky waters like Gastrodon or something like that who can take a Volt Switch. So in that case, maybe running like a grass type could be
Among Us,
beneficial. Yes,
maybe
Among
Among Us,
Us, Among Us,
Among
yes,
Us,
yes, Among Us is a
Among Us
good
is pretty
one.
good.
You could run Venu, you can run Pang if you really wanted to. Serp. Uh,
Oh, Surf, I like Surf there because it's more. I feel like Tangrowth and Cobalion have like similar type of roles on the team. You
yeah,
know, they're both physically defensive pivots. So that might be like a little too much overlap there. Though I guess you run like AV tag, which is I would say generally not amazing
mm,
for most teams, but you could do that. I mean, I wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
true, true.
But those are options.
If you want to build up on the UU usage, then you could pair Koba with Rotomo or
Hydrangea?
something like that.
Oh,
No, Hydrate. Oh, yeah, maybe you can talk about Hydrate. Yeah,
oh
that's
yeah, I Dragon, yeah, another UU staple. So let's see. So Koba, like I said, doesn't really like ground types. Doesn't really like fire. And yeah, I'd say ground and fire types are like its least favorite things to take. And Hydreigon doesn't care about either one of those.
mm,
And they both have pivoting moves. You know, you could U-turn with Hydreigon, you can Volt Switch with Cobalion, and yeah, it's a dark type on the special side, which is really any like other good special dark type Pokemon. I'm struggling to think of any.
maybe like Houndoom, but this is
Oh yeah, Houndoom, yeah, that's it. But that's also Mega Slot.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
the
true, true.
well, I mean, I guess it also like deals with the fire flash fire before it megas, but yeah, it's like more janky. But Hydreigon, I can be another interesting partner.
True, true.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that kind of fit well with Cobalion.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think like a nice like fighting dark psychic core type of thing.
true,
Which
true.
I feel usually you think of like a fairy steel dragon or fire water grass, but fighting dark and psychic is also a pretty solid uh, trio.
True. I also wanted to think. I think maybe Koba might also work well with the Gengar. For similar reasons, Gengar also has access to levitate, and then Gengar appreciates Koba switching into fighting dark types. I mean,
Yeah,
Gengar in general is very hard to switch into. Yeah.
yeah. It's hard to switch into unless you got like a Tyranitar or something.
Yeah, T-Tar or Tornadus or something. You could run like Will-O-Wisp sets too, just to be annoying, which could be really scary. But yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of unique options that you can run with Cobalion. I'm sure if you guys see our previous videos, we've run Cobalion with like so many different mons on our teams, and it always kind of puts in work. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I genuinely love this Pokemon. I don't think it's a meme. Like, we wouldn't make a video about it if it was a meme. Well, like, we might, but no, I do love this Pokemon for sure. Like, I mean, like I said, there's nothing else that really does what it does. I love mons like that
mhm.
because there's really like no replacement for it. You know, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, it's there's so many things that it can just do that no other mon can really do the same stuff it does, especially with that defensive typing in the back too.
yeah.
So It's
Yeah.
very unique. I feel like it's a very finesse mon. Like if you're using it, then you're styling on your opponents because you're probably using some other heat mons too. But yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about why it is good in the current metagame.
Go
Because I
for it.
think that that'll pull in the most people. Uh, so if you guys were living under a rock, no, I'm just kidding. But the top mons in the tier are Excadrill, Clef, Tornadus, Weavile, uh, Rotom, Diancie, Manaphy,
Ferrothorn?
Oh yeah, Ferrothorn, Volcanion, um, Tyranitar, Slowbro. Okay, you guys got the idea, okay? But yeah, Coba can be a nuisance to all of them. I do want to talk about extra drill because so many people like to roll compress on their drills, man. They got their electric immunity, they got their stealth rocker, they got their spinner all on that one mon. And if that one mon is just pressured by a Cobalion, then they're already on the back foot. If they try to switch out, you get a free volt switch. If they try to stay in, you can CC. You could also just get up rocks. You can taunt that drill. You can, shimmy on it, make it feel sad. Same thing with the clef. You can do the same thing. Taunt, Iron Head, T-Wave, Stealth Rock, Volt Switch, all that stuff. Same thing with Tornadus, Serp, T-Wave, Weavile. Can't touch unless it's that weird SD Life Orb set with low kick, but nobody runs
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah.
But you could just CC Weavile. You could always also just to get up rocks. You can get a Volt Switch off. Diancie, it lives a hit from. So Diancie should just switch out versus you. Um, Same thing with Zam. I think Zam. I don't know if we take a focus blast, but who hits it? Maybe not Zam, but you can Volt Switch versus Manaphy, Volcanion. You can CC Ferrothorn. You can taunt Ferrothorn. I think versus Mega Metagross 2, you'll take a hit and then you can get a T-Wave off if you really want, and then Volt Switch out and be a nuisance that way. T-Tar you can CC. Slowbro you can Volt Switch versus. Um, yeah. Uh, Heatran you can CC if you really want to, provided there's some chip. Skarmory you can Volt Switch on. You can Volt Switch on basically everything that's not Thunder, Styrian, or Ground type. But yeah, it is pretty solid versus a lot of mons in the tier. That's just me talking about it being a stealth rocker, and Volt switching. But there's also taunting. You can taunt everything that's slower than you. So, um, yeah, I mentioned Ferrothorn, Clef, that stuff. You can also, um, what else can Coba do? You can, I mean, we
What can it
mentioned.
do?
Yeah, it's true, true. That is a good point. What can it do? It's just so versatile. Um, it can. I think it gets a roar too if you really want to be like that guy.
It
But
does get a roar, yeah.
yeah.
Remember.
Um, and then for the people who are like, oh, I'm scared of Volcarona, you could run Stone Edge or something like that if you really want to be sneaky or something like that if you're afraid of it. But yeah, that's there if you ever really need it. Um,
Yeah.
but the main idea is Koba is a very solid stealth rocker. It most likely will not drop to super effective physical move from like extra drill or Landers or anything like that. So it can get up rocks. It can threaten out drill. So it can maintain pressure versus your opponent very well because it has access to rocks, it has access to CC to kill the drill, it has access to taunt, and it has access to volt switch to get momentum on them. So yeah, it can put a lot of people in the back. Just with its presence because it's the goat who, if you mess with the goat you gotta deal with the horns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. On your back. You said it. Taking on your back. Yeah. Is there anything else really? I feel like we hit on basically everything. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I can't think of much else.
Can I just say he looks like a very rideable Pokemon? I mean that in the least sussy sense possible. I'm saying like he looks comfortable to sit on. You know, there's no like fire on it like Ponyta or Rapidash or some shit.
True, true.
He just looks comfy to me.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
he'd be a great mount. You know, I think that's the
Yes,
word
yes,
they use in certain games.
that is true, and it's able to get.
I love his horns.
Oh yes, yes, and get some momentum on you right there with the.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
All right, guys. So don't worry. I'm sure by now you'll see some funny images while you've been talking over it. So
Yep.
uh, Anvil, I guess we'll just say that's all, folks.
Yep.
Just remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you came across our channel for the first time and you are interested in Gen 6 ORAS OU, check our Discord link. Should be on the channel somewhere. Shouldn't be too hard to find. And you can join the community, ORAS OU Legacy League.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's about it.
Yep. I like the suggestions that you guys are putting in the chat. We will definitely take them into account for our other team building videos. But yes, thank you guys for the suggestions, and we'll see you guys around for the next one. Peace.
Okay, later.